It's exciting.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Tammy.
So, the topic today is the coronavirus and homeschooling. Is this correct?
Yes.
Super. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for sharing your work here with us.
my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's great.
So, can you please read your worksheet to me? And before we begin, I'll just say a quick few words over the work. The work is a
Sure.
way that we can meet our stressful thoughts with understanding. And then they let us go. And in that space, there's space for something else to develop. And we each experience it different in different situations. And I've often felt more resourcefulness, more freedom, and connection within myself. And we do the work for freedom. So, okay, thanks, Stephanie.
Amen.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah, please. Could you read us statement 1, what you wrote? Starting with
All right.
I am, and then the emotion.
All right. I am angry with the teachers because their disorganization is causing our family added stress. So this is in relation to homeschooling. And the last 2 weeks, the schools have been closed. We've been getting used to the new situation, and it has not been easy. It's been challenging. So I am angry with the teachers because their disorganization is causing our family added stress.
Thank you. And what is the situation? Where are you, and about what is the time of day where this thought just grabbed you and like punched your tummy?
It was before lunch. I was sitting at the table in the kitchen, and my husband received a call from one of my children's teacher. And this teacher carried on a lengthy conversation with my husband about all the work that my child hadn't done or had misunderstood or had not been done in the way the teacher had expected. And the confusion from my husband because my daughter had worked quite hard that week and had done quite a lot of work, but apparently it wasn't the right work.
Thank you. So you're sitting at the table and you're hearing this phone call, and your thought is, the teacher's disorganization is causing extra stress.
Yes.
Did I get that?
Yep. Added stress, extra stress, both work.
So I'm writing this down so that I can keep us there.
Yeah.
And can you please read the following statements that you wrote? Exactly the way you wrote them.
Number 2?
Yes, please. You can read
Okay.
through them. The whole worksheet.
Okay, number 2. In this situation, how do you want him or her to change? What do you want him or her to do? I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. Number 3.
Please.
In this situation, what advice would you offer him, her, he, she, should do? The teachers should make it easier for parents and students. They shouldn't pile the work on in an unclear manner and then blame my child when they misunderstand. Number 4, in order for you to be happy in this situation, what do you need him or her to think, say, feel, or do? I need the teachers to have a single list of expectations. They should make a weekly schedule to follow. They should take responsibility when there are misunderstandings. And number 5, what do you think of him, her in this situation? Make a list. Hopefully the teachers don't see this. The The teachers are disorganized. They're lazy. I feel bad saying that. They expect everyone else to make their they expect everyone else to make their life easier instead of the other way around. They are unrealistic and have unfair expectations. Number 6, what is it about this person and situation that you don't ever want to experience again? I don't ever want to feel stupid and incompetent. I don't ever want to feel overwhelmed and confused. And I don't ever want to let my child down.
Again, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
taught our whole life to like somehow squash our thinking away. And the work works totally opposite. It's like, let's hear it, let's listen to it, and let's understand it. So
yeah,
that's why we get petty and judgmental. Not because we are petty and judgmental, because we experience it and we're here for freedom. So
right.
let's start with right at the top. Stephanie, I invite you to close your eyes or not. And I invite you to be at the lunchtime at the dinner table. And you're hearing this conversation taking place between your husband and the teacher. And you have the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress. Is it true?
Yes. Yes.
Can you absolutely know it is true? The teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress.
No.
And in that moment, when you're sitting at the table, as the work works out of that moment, how do you react? What happens when you believe the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress?
I feel an equal amounts of self-recrimination, that I let down my kid, that once again, I didn't do what was needed in order for my child to be successful, or that the teacher thinks I'm incompetent. It made me very defensive. And I felt it was very unfair because the situation is so extraordinary. I felt both angry at myself and at the teacher. I started making excuses, started to blame.
And where do you feel this anger?
In my chest.
And when you sit with it, how does this anger move and live in your body? When you believe the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress.
It tightens my shoulders and my neck, and it makes my head feel fuzzy. My jaw. Yeah.
And how do you treat your kids in that moment when you believe the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress?
I also feel angry with my child that she embarrassed me by not doing what she should have done or not understanding. Or I feel frustration because it's not the first time it's happened. What? Don't touch your face.
Coronavirus protocol.
Mm, I feel also this exhaustion, like this mental fatigue, because it means that I have to do even more to help my child and to help with the situation, and that it was already stressful enough recently, and it's just more stress and impatience with the whole situation, angry. Kind of you ask yourself that question, why does it always have to be a fight? Why does it always have to be hard? You know?
Totally. Totally. And I love this topic because all of us parents are thrown into it from one day to the next.
Mhm, totally. It's this strange situation. None of us chose this. And there's actually no one to blame. There's no one to be angry at. Though goodness knows I've tried to find someone. And it goes in all sorts of directions, the anger and the frustration and the stress. But it's an experience none of us have had before in life, this kind of situation. And
Yeah.
at the same time, then you feel bad about complaining because at least you're healthy and alive, and there's other people who are not surviving, and the pain and the tragedy of it all.
Yeah.
And all of those mixed emotions, the guilt and the shame and the anger and the frustration and the helplessness, those all exist within these four walls that we have to stay in and find our peace. There's
Yes.
no more running away. We're forced to face it. And that's why the work is so fantastic, because you don't have to go anywhere outside of your own self to find the answers.
Yeah. And then we have these images of, our kids not getting it. The images of like the future, like them not passing their grades, or they're not learning
Mm-hmm.
everything that they need to learn, and feeling guilty
Right.
there again.
The
Yeah.
long-term consequences we don't even know yet. And so our minds are fantastic at developing and imagining all the possible consequences and negative fallout from this situation.
Wild.
And even just knowing, like, I could be here doing this for another month, it's only been 2 weeks. It could easily be another month.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yes.
and we have all of this we're carrying around with us, and the grief of the situation, you're mourning with other people, and it's a lot to hold on to. It's too much. It's just too much.
So what are you unable to do in that moment when you're sitting at the lunch dinner table and you're hearing this conversation taking place on the phone? What are you unable to do when you believe the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our families added stress?
I'm not able to see a solution because I've now blamed someone I have no control over. And so I've created myself into this victim mentality where I'm helpless, which only adds to the frustration and the stress. I also want to blame my daughter because it's easier than looking at myself. Like, I wonder, I'm a little bit unfair to her. Like, I want her to make it easier for me. Just like I want the teacher to make it easier for me. I want her to make it easier for me. It's like, and the teacher wants us to make it easier for him, and we're all just drowning, and we want everyone else to fix our problems.
I can really identify with that.
Mm,
So
yeah.
who would you be in that moment without the thought, the teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress? So you're sitting at the table.
It would be, I think it would remove shame from the equation. It would simply be just a situation that needs to be attended to and dealt with, but without the shame. It would simply be the teacher reporting on the situation and us realizing where our child needs help and what needs to be focused on or improved on. And that would simply be a next step, instead of a pool of despair. It would free me up from my emotions and my self-shame and my frustration and my anger. It would kind of separate that out of the equation and allow me to think clearly about just what to do next and how to deal with this, and problem solving and just acceptance. Like, even just being able to accept what the teacher says and just accept it with nothing else would be already a huge relief. It would just be it, you know? It would just be a correct assessment of reality. At least according to the teacher. That's how the teacher experiences it. There's also this tendency I have to just automatically believe other people's story, like their perception of reality, that must be what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
And so without those thoughts or that belief about this disorganization from the teacher causing me stress, without that, I would it would just be an opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah. I really like to make myself suffer, huh?
Well, we do, until we realize we have an alternative.
Oh, I'm very creative at it.
I am too, Stephanie. I am too.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, am I ever too.
Yeah.
So are you ready to turn it around?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. The teachers, so in the work, turnarounds are opposites to the original statement. It's like recognizing that our mind is this incredible like prism and so beautiful. And so what we do, we come into the work on one side, and then with the turnarounds, we look at different angles, different perspectives of the same situation, and we contemplate and witness, how can this statement be equally true or truer? So when we go into the turnarounds, we're going to hang out there for a moment and witness what are 3 concrete specific examples how this can be equally true or truer. So here, Stephanie, do you already have a turnaround?
Yes.
The teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress.
Mm-hmm. All right. My disorganization?
Okay. I'm going to turn around to the cell. Now,
is causing our family added stress?
Yes. My disorganization.
I knew it. It was my fault.
So this is not the work. Stop.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Forget that.
We already noticed that it's so easy to cause ourselves pain. So I'm really good at jumping into finding more ways to blame myself. And this turnaround to the self is really not there for that.
Yeah.
We get enough of that out of the way.
But that impulse is always there. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Until it subsides, that desire to like of pain, until it subsides, then yeah.
Right.
Eventually it goes to the next side. So my disorganization is causing our family added stress. Now, to keep this gentle, we're going to keep it only in that situation. And we're not looking for blame. We're looking for those examples that show up in meditation. It's like the mind asks the question, and we sit with it and we witness what shows up. So how can this be true for you in this situation, Stephanie? My disorganization is causing our family added stress. And you're sitting at the table and it's just before lunch.
I could have gone through every paper she was given and double checked what it was she understood she needed to do. And I could have seen if we were on the same page or if she was on the same page as her teacher. Like, I could have walked her through that process of organizing herself. I mean, I eventually got to that point. I sat down with her and we made a schedule for the next 2 days based on all the information the teacher gave us. And after I did that, I realized, like, even though the teacher was disorganized, like, I have the tools to make organization out of disorder.
Yes.
And I was able to do that. And it was convenient to blame him, but actually, if I had just sat down and done that with her last week, that we would be in a totally different place right now. We would have made progress earlier.
Or not.
I would have at least given her the tools for her to succeed. In a way, I kind of let her just try and do it on her own, which is exactly how I felt about the teacher, like leaving it for us parents to do it on our own. And I was relying on her to understand what her teacher was giving her and what she should be doing with it, when I could have been more involved and more communicative with her in understanding what it is she understood. Because she understood something totally different as well, and even different than what I understood. So all three of us were understanding things differently. But there was no way for us to know that until I actually made an effort to be involved in the organization process myself.
My disorganization is causing our family added stress.
Should I think of another reason why it's true? Another way it's true?
Well, I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
My disorganization is causing our family, or my family, added stress. It's like hearing the reactions in question 3. It's like my disorganization in that moment is this need for security of doing it right. This need for security of knowing that we're going to arrive and it's going to be well done. So it's like my disorganization, believing these really scary images in my mind, that disorganizes me.
Mm-hmm.
Believing I have something to change in order to change these images. Which is, it's hopeless. It's hopeless.
Mm-hmm. So instead of me working, like seeing things more clearly, or just letting, like seeing things without the story behind them, I disorganized my own emotional state and my own mind by believing these things. By believing that the teacher's disorganization caused my family stress, I disorganized myself. Is that what you mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like I wasn't able to clearly like be open to a solution or find a path forward because I was busy, lost in the maze of emotion.
Yeah. Wait 1 second. Because, you know, it's like we don't really have an alternative. Like when we're in that maze of emotion, like we're in a
Mm-hmm.
maze of emotion. And that's part of the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's that I am disorganized. My disorganization is causing our family added stress. Like, you know, that image of the past of the daughter having done the homework wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know, after she's worked on it all week long,
Yeah.
getting this feedback, it's like my disorganization, like feeling guilty
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't notice it earlier.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah.
guilty that like I trusted her when it was
Embarrassed.
beyond her capacity at
Mm-hmm.
the moment. Oh, feeling
Yeah.
guilty that like I failed supporting her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my disorganization is causing our family added stress. And that's why we do the work, right?
Yeah.
It's like we can't
Exactly.
see it at
Yes.
the moment in the emotional labyrinth. It's we can sometimes only see it after.
Right.
So
But when you don't do the work, you can be trapped there.
yeah, oh yeah.
And instead of
Hell yeah.
getting, yeah, I mean that's a place of pain, really. At least in this specific instance, being there was not pleasant.
No.
I did
No.
not enjoy it.
No. No.
Yeah.
Do you see another turnaround? The teacher's disorganization is causing our family added stress.
Yeah, I have one. The teacher's disorganization is causing the teacher stress.
Okay. And how do you experience that as true? What are 3 concrete, specific examples how that's true for you? And you're sitting at the table for lunch.
Because of how long he repeated himself and spoke to my husband on the phone, I could tell that he himself was stressed about the situation. Also from my past experiences with him, I know the teacher gets easily stressed and overwhelmed. And this scenario could very well be very difficult for the teacher.
Yeah.
This is not ideal teaching conditions.
Yeah. Yes.
And the teacher is also trying to find their way through this very extraordinary circumstance.
Yeah.
And different teachers have different strengths and different weaknesses. And this particular scenario simply highlights some of those strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, my daughter not doing things the right way is stressful for the teacher because I know the teacher does care. Yeah.
And I had an example. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
So, how many kids are in a class? About 20 to 30, or how many are we looking at?
I think about probably 22.
So 22. So I'm thinking like a teacher is dealing with 22 of these situations. Like a teacher is homeschooling 22 kids without being in contact with them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like the exponential rate. The teachers,
Who knows how many of those phone calls he had to make that day.
the teacher's disorganization is causing the teacher added stress.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Do you see another turnaround?
The teacher's disorganization is not causing our family stress.
Yeah. How can that be true in this situation?
Well, we get to decide how we respond. It's not like he's here. He can't come talk to us. We're safe in our little house. He can't come bang on our door. So we can create whatever kind of world we want here. Let's see. It's not causing us stress.
The teacher.
Because the teacher is giving us the feedback we need in order to reach the goal we want. Fundamentally, the goal we want is for our child to succeed. And so he's actually, the feedback the teacher is giving us is actually helping us to succeed at what we want the most.
Wow.
If I could just get over myself first.
One thought at a time. We're on it. We're on it. Teacher's disorganization is not causing our family stress.
It's a wonderful opportunity for Leora, for my daughter, because her mind works a little bit like mine. And we are naturally imaginative and distracted and a little bit disorganized in our heads as well, in our own thoughts. And it was actually a wonderful opportunity for her to learn how to make a to-do list.
Wow.
I taught her how to do a to-do list, and I taught her how to make a schedule, and she was actually quite enthusiastic about it.
Wow.
And she responded really well to that. And I think it's because we're similar in that way, that that's something we really need in order to have everything just make more sense and to feel like we're on top of what's going on and that we feel kind of in control of expectations and things like that. So that was actually a really good experience for her and for me. And it reminded me that that's kind of my job as a parent, is to guide her in developing those skills and abilities that will help her personally, for her personality to succeed. Like in a very individual way that even a teacher can't do, because a teacher has 22 kids, but I have 3 kids, and this one kid I know really well, and I can help her in a specific way that no one else can. So it was really an opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teacher's disorganization is not causing our family stress. It's like all the new opportunities that we're growing into.
Yeah.
That we're growing into. Let's go to the next statement.
Okay. Number 2. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations.
Okay. So you're sitting at the table. You're hearing this phone call. I want the teachers to have clear, can you say it again? Clear expectations? What was it?
Instructions and expectations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm noticing how this works so well for me with so many other different situations, not just with teachers. It's like yeah. Relationships.
Yeah.
Forms. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. And you're sitting at the table, listening to this conversation on the phone. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. Can you absolutely know that it's true?
Yes.
And how do you react? What happens when you believe the thought, I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations?
I feel the teacher let me down, let us down as parents, let my daughter down. I feel it's unfair.
And how do you, in that moment, when you feel that it's unfair, how do you treat life when you're sitting at the table?
I feel mad. I'm angry. Like how am I supposed to be successful? And how is my child supposed to be successful when it's so difficult, when it's made so difficult? When we aren't given the information we need.
And what images show up there of the future? I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations when you have that thought.
There's also this feeling of dread that I'll have to call more often and talk to the teacher, which is always stressful for me because German is not my first language. And and we've had misunderstandings in the past, and that's really stressful as well. It's all this, it's like the burden, I feel like the burden is all on my shoulders. And that's the last thing I needed because I already have the burden of educating my child now, which I feel is overwhelming already. On top of the education, there's also that lack of time I had to do my own work and to complete my own task and my own goals and have my own time to myself, which I've lost as well. There's a lot of feeling like poor me. And just this frustration of throwing your hands up in the air. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Why does this have to be so hard? It's not my job. That's kind of a thought. This isn't supposed to be my job. This is exactly what you're paid for. Yeah, this is a difficult situation for you too, but you're also not at school teaching those hours of the day. You should have the time to do this. You should be doing this properly. We need this from you. It's kind of all of that all together.
And does this not, I want the teachers to have, it's totally that altogether. Our reactions, yeah, we're loaded with reactions.
Yeah.
And they just shoot out of us so quickly, so instantaneously, it's like, that's why we do this. That's why I do this. Slow it down to be able to give all those babies their tender love and care too. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. Does this thought bring peace or stress into your life? I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. And in this situation, they're not doing it.
Well, obviously it brings stress because it's not happening.
And do you see one stress-free reason to drop the thought? And I'm not asking you to drop the thought. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations.
A reason to drop that thought. Well, I suppose if I was super keen on practicing my German, then I would have to call them constantly to clarify everything.
Is that a reason to drop the thought?
Potentially one day, but I'm certainly not there right now.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like more fear for me. That sounds like more like fear-filled motivation. So
it's this expectation that if I was really, keen, I should want to improve my German, but it's just, I mean, honestly, it's not where I am right now.
no.
I'm just not there right now. In an ideal world.
Yeah. So that's
but I don't live in that world.
No. We do live in our ideas until we realize they're not reality or not. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. So, do you see a reason to drop the thought? And I'm not asking you to drop it.
There's one reason I could see is because then I'm basically placing my satisfaction on the choices of another, and I have no control over the choices of another. So that's letting someone else decide how my happiness or my peace of mind.
Totally. That's amazing.
So I can't be happy unless someone else does what I want them to do, but I can't make them do that. So who knows if I'm going to be happy or not? It's not up to me anymore because I've let someone else decide that for me.
Yeah. So who would you be in that situation at the table, hearing this conversation, hearing their voices, hearing the tension build, without the thought, I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. Who are you in that situation without the thought?
I would be happy that we got feedback. I would be optimistic about the future and about that we can improve the situation, that my child can be more successful. I'd probably be grateful for the feedback. Because if I didn't know that stuff, then I would continue disservicing my child and her education. So I would really want to know that. If I really cared about my child's success in their education, then I would want to know these things. And I wouldn't feel I had to condemn or judge first before we had that conversation. It would just be about an exchange of information. I would be more willing to ask the right questions to get understanding. I mean, I wasn't talking on the phone with the teacher myself, but I maybe wouldn't feel so afraid about doing so. I mean, that feeling that degree of incompetence because German's not my mother tongue. I can speak it, but there's always that fear of feeling dumb and misunderstood, or it'd be so nice to be able to just have that conversation without that fear. We'd be on the same team then. We'd be working together towards a common goal, and it wouldn't be about who did or didn't do their job. It would be about what can we do together.
Yeah. Yeah. You have an ally.
Yeah.
The three of you would be allies.
Yeah.
I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. Do you see a turnaround to that statement, to the original statement?
I want to seek out clear instructions and expectations. So instead of the teacher doing it, I should be.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of waiting around for the teacher to do it, why don't I do it?
Yeah.
Why don't I ask and make sure?
Mm-hmm. I want me to have clear instructions and expectations. And how do you do that in that situation when you're sitting at the table?
Well, I can't do that without communicating.
Mm-hmm.
I have to hear what it is that the teacher wants, and we have to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be ready to listen and not be distracted by blaming somebody.
I want me to have clear instructions and expectations. Why?
Yeah. I want to feel like I'm a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel like I'm doing right by my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be proud of myself. I want my husband to be proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're doing this together. He's a great help. We work together on it. But I want to feel competent, especially because I live in a country that doesn't speak my mother tongue. That's more of an elusive dream sometimes. But I want to feel like I can look back at these extraordinary times and these extraordinary circumstances and know that I did well by my kids and by me and by my husband, that we took this moment and we made the best of it, and it brought out the best in us, despite the challenges.
So I want me to have clear instructions and expectations. In that situation at the table, what are 3 concrete examples how you're doing that? Or what that means to
Oh, I
you?
am doing that?
Or what that means to you when you're sitting at the table? I want me to have clear instructions and expectations.
For me, it means understanding what the teacher expects from me as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know also what I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice to hear too.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell myself that because the teacher's not there looking at what I'm doing.
Yes, let's do that. So I invite you to close your eyes and, like, in your mind's eye, what do you see that you're doing well?
Okay. I haven't shouted very much this past week. That's a thumbs up for me.
Wow, super.
Yeah. I was really happy about showing my daughter about making a schedule and a to-do list and beginning that process of showing her how to organize her life.
Yeah.
What else am I doing well? I've been doing crafts and art with the kids.
Wow.
I've been spending a lot of time helping them. I encourage them a lot. I give them hugs and kisses. I tell them when they're going and when they're in their rooms working on their work, I go in and I tell them the best thing about homeschooling is that your teacher can hug and kiss you. and I give them hugs and kisses.
So awesome. So sweet. So sweet.
I also let them have time to breaks in between and have snacks and play outside. Yeah. So there's a few things I'm doing okay.
Yes. Yeah. Not just a few. I want me to have clear instructions and expectations. So thinking of in sight of the reactions to question 3, right? The self-blame that showed up at the beginning. I want me to
Yeah.
have clear instructions and expectations. What does that mean in regards to the self-blame that showed up as a reaction, believing that thought? The teachers are disorganized and causing our family added stress.
Okay, you'll have to say that again. I'm confused.
So I want me to have clear instructions and expectations about myself.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Like with the self-accusations that showed up right away, witnessing this phone call taking place and how the homework wasn't done the way it was supposed to be done and everything that the teacher was saying there. I want me to have clear instructions and expectations like about myself, for myself. So next
Well,
time,
obviously I have these expectations that I didn't meet. But if you're to ask me, like, what are my expectations for myself? If I were to write them all down clearly, to organize them in my mind and say, what is it that I expect of myself? It would probably be really unrealistic. Just knowing myself. And so, and yet I never sat down and like actually made that clear. I never sat down and said, what are my expectations for myself? That I do everything perfectly? Because that's not going to happen. That's just a certainty of suffering. But probably on some subconscious level, I was expecting myself to get everything right. But if I can allow myself to just focus, just figure out what are those expectations I have for myself, like the most important things. And if I can do those things right, then the other things, it's okay if it's not. That frees me up as well to be more compassionate with myself.
Yeah.
And with my daughter too.
And I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
That like expectation, for example, of being organized. Could that be an expectation?
So I should have been on top of everything.
Yeah, I should have been on top of everything. Like that image of you in your mind's eye being on top of everything. Do you see it?
Yeah.
And like, is that image real? Like, can you pull it out?
It's something I believe about myself.
Yeah, it's an image. It's an image. It's like an idol.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah, this most unattainable thing.
And it's not who we are. And when we try to live and be that image, it hurts. We become
because we fail.
It's not us.
It's like a guaranteed letdown.
Guaranteed.
We aren't that person.
100%. Every time.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you see another turnaround? I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations.
The teachers want me to have clear instruction and expectations?
Yeah. How can that be true in that situation? when you're seeing?
They want me to call them and talk to them. They want feedback. They
Mm-hmm.
want us to ask when we have questions.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I was hoping I could just get by doing it on my own. Then I wouldn't have to make that difficult phone call.
Language is really intimidating. I really understand you. Been there for a long, long time.
Yeah. I still don't want to make that phone call.
We're not making
That's another.
Yeah. Yes.
That's another task, another work.
Another
Another worksheet. That's right.
Yeah, it's like homeschooling for the kids, homeschooling for us. Like, where do we? Where's the time to get organized? Where's the time to notice those stories?
Totally.
A third turnaround. I want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations. What's a third turnaround?
Wow, a third. Or is that fourth?
We had, I want me to have clear instructions and expectations, and the teachers want me to have clear instructions and expectations.
Okay. I don't want the teacher to have clear instructions and expectations.
Yes. Why?
Well, was that kind of the one? Was that kind of the one I talked about wanting to practice my German?
Maybe. Could be.
Like I want it to be unclear so that I have to ask.
Wow.
That's not where I'm at.
Okay.
I want them to unclear expectations.
I want the teachers to have unclear, or I do not want the teachers. Let's keep it simple. I do not want the teachers to have clear expectations and expectations.
Then I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, when they're
kind of like, which I kind of like that. And then if it doesn't go the way the teacher wants it, then not my fault.
Yeah, it's so simple.
There's a certain freedom there, right?
Freedom to pain.
Or is that avoidance? I'm not quite sure. Sometimes those things seem to blur. Line between of freedom and avoidance seems to blur at times.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I don't want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations.
I can't think of a reason why.
I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Okay, yeah, please tell me.
Because they're also learning how to homeschool. They're learning like on the hop how to do distance education without being distance educators.
So you're saying like they don't have to have them. They don't have to have clear expectations. Because the phrase, I don't want them to have clear expectations, for me is different than they don't have to have clear expectations.
Right.
Like one of them is I don't want clarity. And the other one is it's okay if it's not there.
Let's stay with I don't want the teachers to have clear expectations, clear instructions, expectations. Because in this moment, it's like you said you got the phone call at the end of the first week?
Yeah.
Like it's the learning curve. It's
right.
The learning curve, learning how to be distance educators.
So it frees them up to be able to be adaptive, you mean?
And to
like
learn.
They don't have to have the answers now because they're still, okay, I see what you mean.
They're in their own process.
So that okay, I see what you mean now. Yeah, it allows them to be free with adapting to the situation as they see it and reevaluating what those expectations and goals should be. And that's a really good point, actually. That maybe that will come.
Yeah, I have another one. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, please.
I don't want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations because then I'm obliged to take my parent role and be that liaison between child and teacher.
Yeah, that's that freedom I was talking about.
Yes. Yeah. And
or laziness.
Or laziness. Yeah. Or that new opportunity to speak German.
Yeah.
And I have a third one. Do you want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the teachers to have clear instructions and expectations because wanting it when they're not able to do it, when they're not doing it in that moment, confuses me and prevents me
Mm.
from being clear with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings me closer to reality,
Right.
and it gives me options.
Especially if they're intentionally not making it clear because they want to wait and see how things play out. Then I'm also giving them that space and that room to do that.
Yeah.
Good ones.
Yes. Yes.
Those are really good.
Let's go to statement number 3. The teachers should.
The teacher should make it easier for parents and students.
Okay.
Should I read all of them or just the first one?
Let's stick with that one. Yeah. The teachers should make it easier for parents and students. And you're sitting at the table shortly before lunch.
Yes.
Is it true? The teachers should make it easier for parents and students.
Yes, it's true.
Can you absolutely know it's true? The teacher should make it easier for parents and students.
Yes. I still want to say yes.
Good. Well, let's honor it. There's no right and wrong. This is self-inquiry.
Right.
The teacher should make it easier for parents and students. How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought and you're sitting at the table? Easier for
I
parents.
feel disappointed. I feel it's unfair. I feel frustrated
And
that this isn't the way it should be.
yeah.
I feel let down.
Who would you be in that situation without the thought? The teacher should make it easier for parents and students. And at this moment, you're not.
Well, I'd be more of a team member, working together with the teacher instead of blaming them. I would be more willing to do some hard work myself, to make some changes, to adapt. Maybe I might even, if I'm feeling generous, think that I can help the teacher.
Yeah, support them, learning how to become distance educators for 22 homeschoolers at the same time.
Yeah.
The teacher should make it easier for parents and students. Turn the thought around.
I should make it easier for the teacher.
Okay.
And for my student.
What are 3 concrete, specific examples in this situation where you're sitting at the table? I should make it easier for the teacher and the students.
I should be communicating more with the teacher,
Mm-hmm.
which would make things easier.
Mm-hmm.
I should be communicating more with my child
Mm-hmm.
about what they think there is expected of them. Mm-hmm. I could give very useful feedback to the teacher, which I didn't do. I wasn't on the phone, but I could have easily asked to talk to the teacher and asked for the possibility of some of my ideas being implemented. Maybe the teacher would have been grateful.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been helpful.
And why? I should make it easier for the parents, for the teachers and students. Why?
because we all want the same things,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all in this difficult situation that no one has ever gone through before,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all figuring it out together.
Yeah. It feels gentle. It feels natural.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you see another turnaround? The teacher should make it easier for parents and students.
The teacher shouldn't make it easier for parents and students.
Yeah. How can that be true in this situation when you're sitting at the table shortly before lunch?
Because in order for our kids to get what they need, it's going to be hard. It's work. It's extra hard situation. So it's, in order to properly help them progress in their education, it's going to be challenging. It should, if it's too easy, then we're doing something wrong. Like, it's work. It takes work to do it. Because they're not at school, it's going to be extra difficult. That's how it should be. Because the situation is just what it is. It should be hard, because it is hard
In that
for
moment.
everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's simply what it is. I mean, we're not teachers.
Mm-hmm. We're not teachers.
We don't have the advantage of being trained and knowing how to, we might know our kids really well, but that doesn't mean we know how to be teachers for them. Plus you have the emotional, baggage that comes along with being a parent while teaching your child. It's harder to have that emotional distance that a teacher needs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be hard.
The teacher should not make it easier for parents and students. I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, please.
Because as far as we know, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning for them from the get-go to become distance educators with 22 kids.
Yeah.
And the teacher should not make it easier for parents and students, because they either do or they don't.
What do you mean? Who either does or doesn't?
The teacher should not make it easier for parents and students. And the example showed up for me that they either do or they don't.
The parents or the teachers?
The teachers.
Yeah. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah. And it's going to be easy or hard. And we'll
Yeah.
do what we do. And it will be easy or hard.
Yeah.
A third turnaround. The teacher should make it easier for parents and students.
Could you say the students should make it easier for parents and teachers?
Sure. Except the subject is not your moment.
Oh, but that would be so convenient to put the responsibility on her.
Let's turn around to the self. I should make it easier for myself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This in this situation.
Yeah.
This nanosecond at a time. I should make it easier for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I should understand what my own expectations are and my own needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I should also understand clearly, if I put the effort into communicating with my child and the teacher what they need and expect, then I can work around those and add my own needs and expectations into creating something that's balanced for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the pressure I put on myself, like, I don't need to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I could just take it easy.
Mm-hmm.
The stories I tell about what it means about my personality, like this this situation is like somehow a failure on my part, or that I don't have to see it that way. Like
Oh
it'd be
my
easy on myself.
Those are like talking about painful stories to maintain. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, like I kind of did make it about myself.
Mhm.
Like I failed her. I was the loser. I was incompetent,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and then I was defensive. Yeah.
I should make it easy for myself. I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
I had this image in my mind of the daughter and him, or the teacher, talking together on the phone.
Yeah.
Like them having a touch base conversation.
That's true.
Them, like, they have,
Let her be responsible. Let them do their thing.
let them do their
Because
thing.
that at school, I'm not there at all. You're right. I'm not involved.
Yeah. And she knows how to ask her questions, and he knows how to understand her questions. There's a whole world of how they communicate, that terminology, the expressions, the everything. It's like their lingo, and they get it. It's his job to get her, and it's her job to get him. And
Yeah. Right.
make it easier for myself. Give them their space back, thinking, or grant them their space back, even without being in a classroom.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's go to I need. What is it in this situation that you need to move you from the emotion you identified at the top is angry? So, Stephanie, what do you need to move you from anger to happiness in this situation when you're sitting at the table shortly before lunch?
I need to have a single list of expectations. So 1 page written down. These are the things that are supposed to be achieved. Should I say the other ones too?
From the teacher. I need to have a single list of
Yeah.
expectations from the teacher. Sure, please read them.
They should make a weekly schedule that my child's to follow, so I don't have to.
The teacher
Should
needs
make a weekly schedule.
to make a weekly schedule.
And they should take it, and the teacher should take responsibility when there are misunderstandings.
Okay. So we're at the need. So I'm going to put that should to a need. I need the teacher to take responsibility.
Yeah.
For the misunderstandings. So how do you react? What happens when you believe those thoughts in that situation?
I feel like I'm unable to succeed because someone else hasn't done their job. I feel irritated that I have to now pick up the slack where the other person failed. That there's more on me. I feel this pressure and this weight. I feel like I have to guess, which is just annoying. I shouldn't have to guess. Just tell me. It's clear. I'm willing, I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm able. Just tell me. Make it clear and it will be fine. Like, you don't have to make this complicated. And also that defensiveness, it's not my fault, this is on you, kind of a thing. Yeah.
And what do you gain in that moment when you believe these thoughts?
My ego loves it. Excuse me.
You gain an ego.
My ego loves it, yeah.
A big story. Multiple layers of story. Who are you in that situation without the thought? I need to have a single list of expectations from the teacher.
That's also stressful to me, actually, without the thought.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I know that for myself, like I need a list. I could change it and say it doesn't have to be from the teacher, but as long as there's a way for me to make that list in a way that makes sense,
Mhm.
or that I can kind of like figure it out. If it's not super clear, I can still find a way to make that list myself. But
Yeah.
I do need it. I know for myself, I need it, and my daughter needs it.
Yes. You're already on to the turnaround, Stephanie.
Oh, right.
I need to have a single list of expectations from the teacher for myself,
Yeah,
or I need to have a
I
single.
need to make the list myself. Yeah. Which I can do.
Mhm. Mhm.
At
Mhm.
least I did do it with, I ended up taking the time. It was time consuming because it wasn't clear. It was disorganized, but I think I got there. We'll find out when
Mhm.
the teacher gives their feedback. I can make a weekly schedule,
Yes.
and I can take responsibility when there's misunderstandings. I can be the one to call and ask.
Yeah.
I have to do the work on that one. I don't want to call. This is obviously an issue for me.
And
Yeah.
turn it around again. I don't need to have a single list of expectations from the teacher.
Well, I guess if I didn't get anything, I could make up my own.
Mhm. That's one example.
I could also leave it open, even like maybe that hasn't been decided yet because the teacher's still figuring it out.
Yeah.
And just just be okay with, like maybe the teacher wasn't at all upset. Maybe I just put that idea, like maybe like that was an assumption I made. Though I do know the teacher enough to, it's not an assumption based on nothing. But I could be wrong. Um,
There's nothing like a Judge-Your-Neighbour-Worksheet on these stressful teachers.
I shouldn't make a weekly schedule. Well, maybe something comes up and everything has to change. I have to be able to stay flexible.
That one sounds like a spin out. I do not need to have a single list. The teacher. I do not need the teacher to make a weekly schedule.
Yeah. So I can make it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it could also be that the teacher purposely didn't make a weekly schedule because the teacher wanted us to be able to adapt according to our individual family needs and situations and what works best for us.
Wow.
Dang it.
Well, I have a third example.
Yes.
The teachers does not need to make a weekly schedule because, like in that moment, maybe they're also feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. Or maybe they're hoping we will.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I need the teacher to take responsibility for the misunderstandings.
I need to take responsibility for misunderstandings.
I need me. How is that true or truer for you?
Well, I could certainly call. If I get over myself. I could call and just ask. You know? There's no reason. I mean, he needs feedback. Otherwise, how is the teacher supposed to know how things are going and how my child is doing? Like, that feedback is important. And he can't read mine, so.
Or within walls.
Yep. Yep.
I need me. I need me to take responsibility for my misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
Might be true.
Which certainly happen often enough. because of the language,
Mhm.
and maybe because we're just different, like we're just humans. Yeah.
I have an example. Would you like to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
I need me to take responsibility for my misunderstandings because it feels gentle for me. These like misunderstandings sometimes feel so harsh, and then my mind just innocently uses them and replays them and replays them, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels so rough and unkind. And so I need me to take responsibility for my misunderstandings so that I can like
Yeah.
come back to me, be right for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go on to 5. Could you please read your list again? And this is where it's like we confront our honesty. Here on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, we're invited to be petty and judgmental. So Stephanie is,
I was given permission.
that's right. Let's hear it. I give you permission.
Okay, the teachers are disorganized, lazy. They expect everyone else to make the teacher's life easier instead of the other way around. They are unrealistic, have unfair expectations.
Yeah. So let's start by turning it around to the opposite. The teachers, what's the opposite?
Organized.
How can that be true in this situation at the table?
Well, my child did receive a packet of information and lots of instructions that were just scattered around. The information was all there. You just had to go on a hunt for it.
Okay.
But she got the work she needed to do. She had everything there in order to do it.
Wow.
The tools were already there, just that the understanding was missing.
That's organization.
The teacher managed to get it out to all 22 kids. That takes something, right?
Yeah. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one, the teachers are, what's the opposite of lazy? Productive?
Productive, busy,
How
diligent.
can
Well, I'm sure it's lots of work to do things this way. Because, I mean, this is a teacher that's taught for many years. And so to have their usual method of teaching to be upended, I'm sure is very disruptive and requires a lot of extra work.
Totally. What was the third one there on your?
They expect everyone else to make the teacher's life easier instead of the other way around. Maybe they hope everyone else will help them make their difficult job easier.
Or they don't expect?
Or they don't.
How can this be true in that situation?
That they just simply want feedback to work together, to find the best solution together. It's not about one person doing more of the work or making it easier for someone else. It's simply about working together.
Now, turn it around to yourself.
I expect to make
And start at the beginning.
they expect everyone else to make
list, or do we not finish the list?
Sorry?
Do we not finish that list yet at number 5?
They are unrealistic and have unfair expectations.
Yeah, okay, right. Thanks. We weren't finished it.
Yeah. They are realistic and have fair expectations.
How can that be true in this situation? They're realistic and have fair expectations.
Well, without the misunderstanding, like my child is capable of doing the work.
Yes. Yes.
I know my child can do it.
And she did it.
Yeah, I mean, she had to work through the weekend. More or less, yeah. but it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes next week.
Mhm. Yeah, round 3. Let's hear it. Turn around to yourself now. I
have unrealistic and unfair expectations.
Mhm.
I expect too much from the teacher. I expect them to instantly be able to switch and do things in a totally foreign way. They've never done it before, and be able to do it competently and experienced.
Yeah.
So I'm unrealistic and unfair in my expectations of the teacher.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. That's true. That wasn't fair of me. I'm also unfair and unrealistic in my expectations of myself,
Mhm.
that I should be able to have this all figured out and done perfectly,
Mhm.
and that my child should have automatically understood everything and had it all figured out.
Mhm.
It's also not fair
Mhm.
to either of us.
Yeah, expectations have that like brutality. Somehow there's like this dazzling image, but we skip the whole time process. We skip the whole.
Mm.
It's just like
Mm-hmm.
as if it should be the.
It's like all that matters is the end result, and we forget the point of the journey is this process of learning and growth.
Yeah.
We think the only thing that matters is a result.
Mhm.
Like, we're so trained to believe our value is based on what we produce,
Mhm.
instead of like the type of person we are as we go through that journey.
Mhm. Mhm. And start at the beginning of the list. I
am disorganized.
Mhm. How can that be true in that situation?
Well, obviously, I also wasn't on top of what was going on.
Mhm.
I'm lazy.
Mhm.
Well, I don't want to make that phone call.
Yeah, I understand that. Those are really intimidating phone calls. Different languages when
Mm.
like
And I have a bit of a history with this teacher, which makes it addedly difficult. We've had
history.
problems in the past, and so it's even more painful.
Oh my goodness. That's what these worksheets are so good for.
Yeah, I should do that. Yeah, totally. Okay.
And then let's hear.
I expect, oh, sorry, should I do the next one?
Yeah. Please, yeah.
I expect the teacher to make my life easier.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that sounds easier, right? Sounds nice. I do. It's because I feel overwhelmed
Mhm.
and I feel stressed out, and I really want it to be easier.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want the teacher to do their job. I don't want to have to do the teacher's job. I don't want to be my kid's teacher.
Mhm.
I'm not enjoying it. There's moments, but I mean, and I think it's getting better with time, but sometimes I really don't enjoy being my child's teacher.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I am unrealistic and I have unfair expectations. I said that one already. Yeah.
So let's go then to 6. Can you please read it? You wrote it.
Yeah. I don't ever want to feel stupid and incompetent, to feel overwhelmed and confused, to let down my child.
Again.
Again.
And I'm willing.
Well, that's inevitable. That's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. So I'm willing to.
I'm willing to let my child down. I'm willing to feel stupid. Wow. Am I willing to feel stupid? Yeah, well, I'm going to anyway, right?
Chances
I
are
might as well break it.
my
This hasn't been the first time, and it certainly won't be the last. I can allow myself to feel stupid. I can allow myself to be incompetent. Of course I'm incompetent. I'm not a teacher. I can allow myself to feel overwhelmed and confused. To be okay with that. Yeah, like, it's okay if I feel that way. It's reasonable under the circumstances.
Totally. Like to be able to notice it before war breaks out inside of ourselves.
Mm,
It's like,
yeah, that would be nice if I could notice it beforehand, or to at least shorten this period of suffering.
that's what this turnaround's all about. It's like being opened up to notice it, because chances are it
Yeah.
may happen again. And let's turn it
Yeah.
around. I'm looking forward.
I'm looking forward to feeling stupid. Oh, exciting.
It is exciting. There's so much possibility there. It's
I'm looking forward to feeling stupid.
to get still and to like listen, like what is going on right now.
Yeah, sometimes I'm too proud, so it's a good opportunity to feel stupid.
Yeah.
It's a check on the ego, isn't it?
Aren't we all? Yeah. Totally.
It's like the moment to notice the ego.
Yeah. Yes. So I am looking forward to keep going.
To being incompetent? Well, I can't move from incompetency to competency without recognizing first that I'm incompetent.
Or at least our stories about being incompetent.
Yeah. It also could be not true. Yeah. And I'm going to be incompetent at so many things in life continuously.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. So if I can be comfortable with being incompetent, I think I can reduce a lot of my suffering.
Yeah. Or the stories about it, where I'm incompetent everywhere. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have the privilege of knowing you, and
Yeah.
like I know you as such a competent person. Like that's who I experience you as.
Really?
It's like these stories
Aw, thanks.
about ourselves. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
These stories that we tell about ourselves, it's like pure incompetence. These stories are
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, I mean, man.
thoughts that we believe have something to do with reality. And, outside of here, we can't pull them out. They're
Yeah.
just babies crying for our attention. And that's it. And that's a lot. And that's enough.
And what's funny is I would never like act to my kids or my husband the way I treat myself. Never. I would feel ashamed and horrified to believe the things about them that I believe about myself. And yet I do it.
Yeah.
Unchecked.
So innocent. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's look forward to the next one.
I am looking forward to feeling overwhelmed and confused. Feeling overwhelmed and confused. Oh,
Like a work.
that's hard to look forward to that.
Yeah. It's like
That feeling of feeling overwhelmed is such a common feeling in my life. It has walked by my side for so much of my life. Like that is such a familiar feeling. But I don't like it. How can I be looking forward to feeling overwhelmed?
print off like a couple worksheets, carry them with you, and then just notice, oh, I'm feeling confused. And then invite yourself to take like 5 minutes to identify what is it in that situation that's confusing you. And then fill out the worksheet on that confusion.
Okay, I'm just writing this down.
When you can. And sometimes it's noticing the situation and coming back to it, writing it down when there's a moment to write it down.
Okay.
And
that's a good idea.
Writing them out organically, they just flow. And, at the beginning, I was telling myself, oh, I don't have the time. It takes too much time. And then, I did the work on that. And it was like, oh my goodness, I don't have the time not to do it. Life is so brilliant on the other side of confusion. And when I began to experience the other side of confusion, it was like, I don't have the time not to. Because it's not going anywhere. And I'm spinning. I'm going around in circles. and I'm not feeling any better about me or the situation.
And you're not living.
So am I going to take the 5
Yeah.
minutes to understand myself?
Yeah.
I'm feeling confused there, or am I going to keep telling myself I don't have the time? For me, it became then I have
Yeah.
time, and
I
I'm
don't
going
have the
to
time
make
to.
the
Yeah.
I'm going to make the time, and I'm going to
Yeah.
time.
I'm looking forward to feeling overwhelmed and confused. Well, I guess because I'll be doing the work for it, that's a good opportunity to look forward to. To deal with my overwhelmed and confused feelings, there's an opportunity. So.
Oh yeah, and it's so true. You know, when we begin to feel like unconfused and unoverwhelmed and like calm, it's priceless.
Mm-hmm. It sounds great. I can imagine.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
That was so helpful. Really.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to hear, like, share your comments below when you feel desire to, like what you notice. Homeschooling week 3 coming around the corner.
Yes. Yeah, that will be interesting. I feel like this has really helped me in my perspective and to see things differently and approach things differently, and just to take a breath amidst it all and take a moment and don't let it just sweep me along, but to engage with what's happening and how I feel about it, to sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're a treasure.
You're a treasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.